Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahwashi, Ba'ashem, Rakal Kadash, double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, who taught me this truth. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there on the four quarters of the earth, proclaim this truth, as we know that we're in the time of the return of the Hamashiach, Yahwashi. And so, well, the next big thing to happen is to get everybody on them chips, to be microchipped. And part of that plan is, of course, Real ID, which is right around the corner. Here's a report that I found via alternative media.
Lisa Haven here. Well, Americans are going to be and already are forced to comply by October 1st, 2020. If you do not comply, well, that means no entry for you. And the bills and legislation were passed in 2005. What am I talking about? Well, many of you probably already heard about this, but I want to bring it back up because I think it's a very critical point that we are at in our society today. I am talking about the Real ID. Now, if you've gone to the DMV lately, you may have gotten a notice or some kind of new requirement stating that you cannot fly, nor can you, well, enter any federal buildings if you don't comply with the new federal national ID called a Real ID. For those of you who may not know what the Real ID is, I'm going to throw up the resolution here on the screen, but this was passed again in 2005, and it's called the Real ID Act, House Resolution 1268, and it's titled Improved Security for Driver's License and Personal ID Cards. Now, this requires you, when you go into the DMVs, to submit your name, your phone number, your address, stuff that you would submit for a driver's license. However, it takes it a step further, and it asks for proof of residency, your birth certificate, and your social security card. Additionally, this will include facial recognition technology. It reads, subject each person applying for a driver's license or ID card to mandatory facial image capture. What does that mean? Well, that means that they have your face on record in a federal national database. It means when you go to the airport, you can have an ID with your face on it, and in addition to that, they'll have your face on their screen. That is what facial ID recognition technology is. They have your face scanned, and now they have the ability to find you in a crowd. That is the purpose of the Real ID, to get all your information on a federalized, nationalized database. And this is what the government has done. When must we all comply? Well, as I stated in the beginning of video, and as you can see in the document, we must all comply by October 1st, 2020. That means you have your Real ID in your hand with a little star logo up in the corner of your ID there, showing that you are Real ID and federally, nationally recognized, and you're compliant as well. Now, how are the states holding up to this? Well, check out this map. This map shows 98% of the states here in America are ID compliant or have at least filed for an extension to be ID compliant. Green means that they're already compliant. Yellow means that they've actually filed for that extension. Now, this is all part of the United Nations agenda. This is why they're implementing this thing, because according to Article 16.9, everyone in the world needs to have an identification card by 2030, as you can see there. Well, this national ID no longer is it controlled by the states as we have with our driver's license, but now you become a national federalized agent, federalized person with all your personal data given to the feds. Now, what if you don't comply? What if you say, I don't want your Real ID, I'm just going to keep my driver's license? Well, obviously, that's an option as well, but you will not be able to fly domestically, nor will you be able to enter any federal buildings. You can't do any of that unless you have a Real ID, and you cannot fly unless you have a passport or a Real ID. In other words, it's a forced compliance on the American people. And fact of the matter is, they're really pushing for it. Check out this report here from news10.com, put out July 2018. DMV encouraging New Yorkers to get the Real ID. K5 News, July 2018. Washington driver's license change to comply with Real ID. Daily Press, June 2018, Virginia DMV introduces new Real ID credentials. The Chronicle, July 2018, Ohio requires new ID by 2020. Golden State Newspaper, June 2018, all California driver's license must upgrade to the new Real ID. Doesn't this kind of remind you of something?
You see your papers? I don't think I have them on me. In that case, we'll have to ask you to come along. Wait, it's possible that, yes. Here we are.
So pretty much, you know, you're going to be stuck here. Well, this is what we've been preaching about. This is what we've been teaching, is that, you know, it will not be optional. Well, there you go. You know, pretty much, you know, if you want to, you can't leave here anyways because the IRS is already holding you, you know, for any debts you have, so you can't ever leave here, proving that we're still enslaved. So it seems, though, that, you know, I'm not the only one that this happens to, that many people now that are putting out information, you know, the tools that you use to try to get it, you know, it just fucks up on you. Well, this is happening on purpose, as, you know, here's another guy that's putting out the truth out there, and his videos are getting tampered with, deleted, and I tried to show this before, and then goddamn video fucking cut me off. Why? Because fucking Esau's desperate because he knows this truth is real and that we're out there. We're exposing him on a daily basis. So let's just go ahead and listen to what this was.
And truly, I'm frankly very tired of doing that. So to be honest, I may just start doing these live. But truly, it's better for me to be able to add everything else beforehand. But give me a second. Let me make sure anybody else that may have seen this. I didn't advertise this, so I may not get that many watching live. But give me a second to see if everybody else wants to hop on, and then we'll get started. I'm going to be talking about a few different things today, many of which are some of the things we're being distracted by. You know, for instance, the FBI stuff, the shooting, all these different things, which are interesting to get into. But let's see here. And I will try to keep track of some of the stuff in the comments. I don't usually do that. Honestly, I'm not used to doing that because I'm more usually doing the recordings. But let's see. All right, we got 20 of you guys on. I'll go ahead and get started and see if anybody wants to join in after the fact. But okay, so welcome to the Daily Wrap-Up. As you guys know, a concise show dedicated to bringing you the most relevant independent news as we see it from the last 24 hours. Now, I didn't do a show yesterday because I actually did an interview with Doug from The Shift, another channel, which I was real honored to be on the show. He's a great guy. And as well as I wanted to make sure that the censored episode, which I did, which the reason I did my other live stream, got more attention, which, as you know, was very specifically had to do with the context of about Yemen and what's going on there, and the 370 children that are they're dead due to the actions of the U.S.-backed Saudi-led coalition, which comes from a UN report. Which, you know, of course, I mean, anything can be manipulated, but the point is that that's backed by a lot of information. And the point is that they did not want that to get out. They censored the video, they locked it in private, and they wouldn't allow it to be shown. And I went through the whole ridiculous appeal process. You can check out the live stream to show you what that was all about. And I didn't hear back. And so I just deleted it.
And you know as well as I do that a lot of things that, you know, reveal what's going on in Syria, the same thing happens with my videos as well as many other brothers, you know, because you expose false flags, you know, they're going to fuck with your videos. But, you know, most of all, though, Esau's being exposed at every end, you know, and so he's going to fuck with your feeds, going to fuck with everything else. This is just a part of what we have to endure to the very end, but we're going to keep pushing. ID, and you know as well as I do that they always wanted China as the world currency, so that's why they're purposely crashing the dollar. Yes, this is all a stage plan by the Rockefeller Rothschilds. Yours truly, because this is what they wanted to do to pretty much get everybody on them chips, and the number one partner is Moab, which is part of the artificial intelligence, as the prior videos that I've been showing reveal, you know. So here's what's happening with the economic collapse.
There are obviously a lot of things out here that affect economies around the globe, but there's one thing they seem to always circle back around to that has full control, and that is the central bank out of each country that continues to print money that is not backed by gold And when you have the world reserve currency, the US dollar, that is in that same boat, you should expect the same outcome. Now, along the way, we have seen plenty of manipulation of the precious metals. We've seen individuals from DB Bank get dragged into court. We've seen a lot of manipulation ongoing in terms of markets, and it's been known. And right now, some could say, okay, stocks are up. Well, the FANGs are up. Some could say confidence is up, and so is credit card debt. And some would say that the economy is soaring, as long as you don't pay attention to the weakness in the incoming growth. Of course, if your mainstream media is never talking about that, never saying any of these details, then you're never going to know it. You're not going to talk about it. You're not going to repeat it. None of it. And you're going to think things are going a certain way, the way that they paint it. And what you have to look at is the hard data. And as you can tell, the hard data and the soft data paint two different pictures. And the hard, real economic data continues to languish awkwardly unchanged from the start of Trump's reign. Now, if they continue this out, they're saying that, well, per Bloomberg, they see that markets are trading like the next recession is drawing closer. They're saying that we could enter that phase within the next 12 months. And to me, you have to look at a prime catalyst here on the world stage of what could do this, what could change everything from where it's been. To me, it's all this talk of a trade war with China, with tariffs on EU, Russia, all the above. That, at the end of the day, is what is going to affect our markets and affect us in the end. I've said it before. People can ignore it all they want. But when we sit there and we put certain tariffs and strains on other countries, they're going to respond. And then that, in turn, is going to affect us regardless. Unless there's some kind of deal worked out to where there is no more back and forth. If somebody owes something, say like China owes us intellectual property rights, the theft of it for years and years, there should be no tit for tat. There shouldn't be no, oh, now we're going to do this. No, we should be taking measures to get our money back that they've taken throughout all these years without them taking anything from us because they've already taken. That's just one example, though. Couldn't leave a link here.
So, they're crashing the system on purpose. This article as well, and I'll play the video, but here's what's funny is that they are putting sanctions against Russia, but not Syria. Take a look at this. So, anyhow, yeah, that's the truth, I'm going to leave it at that. I'll get some scriptures here. Hold on a second. So I'm just going to read out of Revelation chapter 14 and verse 3, because this is what we're doing now. And the song is if it were a new song before the throne. That's what we're doing. We're telling our people, hey, repent and come back to law, statutes, and commandments. This is a new song. And before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. That is, those of us that came back to this truth. They were not defiled with women, meaning that they didn't go off on philosophies. For they are virgins, meaning that we do not adapt Esau's philosophies. But here's the main one here. And the third angel followed them, this is verse 9, saying with a loud voice, and if any man worship the beast or his image, that is, worship the structure of Esau, the so-called white man, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, that is, real ID, RFID, implant, microchips, the same shall drink of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels. In other words, you're going to get fire from the ships, and you're also going to be destroyed by the lake of fire. The smoke of the torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And that's what's going to happen if you take this Real ID RFID.